15 is in the portfolio. Once you run your screens, like generally what is the size of the universe that you are sort of playing in? Are we talking hundreds of stocks or it's only still a handful?
We like it to be a deliberately small playing field where, if you like, the odds are on our side. So there's a lot of parts of the market that are in our no-go zone.
Okay.
That's by country. So emerging markets where we don't think the governance and accounting standards and transparency are as good as what we're looking for. So they're out. Industries that are naturally no growth, industries that are naturally cyclical. So heavy industry, automotive, telcos, utilities, industries that are naturally opaque, like banks and insurance companies, where you don't really know as much as you'd like to know about the quality of the underwriting, what's on the balance sheet. Businesses that are narrow, what I call one-legged stools. It might be a biotech business or a tech company that does one thing that doesn't have the breadth and resilience that we're looking for. By being narrow, they're inherently sort of fragile, so they're out. We don't like being at the sharp end of change. So as exciting as things like EVs and semiconductor chips are, we know it's a growing but a fluid industry where, as we look forward the next 5 or 10 years, it's harder for us to know who will be the leader, what sort of profitability can we expect. We stay away from industries where the government plays a big role. We're seeing that right now, but it's all the government always plays a role when it comes to trade, always plays a role when it comes to healthcare. So those are industries that are out of bounds for us, and it's helped us stay away from problem areas in recent months. So that's the no-go zone. Say 3/4 of our opportunity set takes us down to a few hundred stocks that are broadly what we're looking for, and from those looking for the exceptional, leading, consistently profitable, growing businesses with strong balance sheets where valuation's on your side. That's what gets us down to 14 or 15 stocks.
Nice. I imagine it must be pretty you'd have to be pretty disciplined to maintain all of those exclusion zones, especially some of them where it's like perhaps a one-legged stool. Nice term, I hadn't heard that before, but a one-legged stool, or cutting edge of innovation.
Like NVIDIA.
When things are just ripping, and like you've got your team coming and saying like, we got to get on this. I imagine that would be pretty hard for as a disciplining process for the team.
But you're right, it does take discipline, and where share prices are shooting up like NVIDIA has in recent years, you do have to remind yourself of why we're not there. Pay attention to where a rapid change can cause problems. Other good examples, I think, in the last couple of years are EVs. Tesla might do really well in the next 10 years, but it's not quite as a sure bet as it looked a couple of years ago, where suddenly you've got this influx of competition from China. The US is removing some of the EV credits that made buying a car cheaper. So all those things are changing in ways that might make life difficult for Tesla. And any new, fast-changing, fast-growing industry has those uncertainties. That's why we stay away from it, even when share prices might be charging ahead, and you get a bit of envy. I wish I had a bit of that. It does take discipline.
Yeah. So for any advisors listening who are hearing you make the case for being quite selective in their stock picks, how do you think about risk management for such a concentrated or selective portfolio? Are there any sort of additional layers you'll put on, or additional sort of steps you'll think through?
We have thought about quantitative tools like volatility, but we find that the best measure of what we're really looking for is our own mind. And we're trying, in a concentrated portfolio, we're very, very mindful of the risk of permanent loss of capital. So we're asking ourselves at an individual stock level, have we got this right? Have we missed something? Is this business perhaps not as good as we think? It goes back to that exclusion zone being very deliberately large, takes us away from industries, types of businesses, countries where we think the odds are less favourable. So we're asking ourselves, one, is it as good as we think it is? Have we got it right? Looking hard for disconfirming evidence. But the other perhaps risk mitigation tool we think about is an awareness that great businesses today oftentimes don't stay great. And if we were to sort of go around the table and say, okay, well, let's do this mental exercise. Let's go on a time machine, wind back 15 years and write down 10 companies each. Let's get a list of 30 that were great businesses back 10 or 15 years ago. Okay, and then we come back to 2025. How many of them are as good today as they were 15 years ago? We'd find that there's a lot less than half. So we recognise there's this natural gravitational force to pull great businesses back towards average. So recognising that, we're looking hard for the early warning signs of a great business today, perhaps starting down that path towards mediocrity.